There you go.
Okay. So we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to come in. Hey guys. So of course I'm in a not new but different kitchen. I've stolen Ruby's kitchen again. And I finally bought a ice cream scoop. Every week I complain that I don't have one and I probably will never buy one. And then I went into Walmart and they had one for like, I think it was like $4. So I got it. Now take it out. I'm gonna have to figure it out because today we are making, let's stop fiddling with the ice cream scoop. Today guys, we're gonna be making apple crumble. And some of you may know that this is considered as the #1 American dessert. I like it, but I don't know if it's the #1, but generally it's served with ice cream and a little bit of a caramel drizzle. So that's what we're gonna be making today. So of course, come in, like, share, heart the video. If you can hear me clearly, go ahead and give me a heart and share the video so that we can get everybody online. So today we're going to be using apples. Now there's a funny thing about apples. You have to have the right apple for apple pie, and it's the same thing when making any kind of baked dessert. There's certain apples that's better. So I always recommend the Granny Smith apples because they're not going to spring so much water that it makes whatever you're baking soggy. So this is one of the best baking apples that you can find. So that's the green one. The Gala apples are not so good because they're so soft in texture. It tends to absorb too much and then they become really soggy really fast. So it's up to you, but I would recommend using the Granny Smith apples. So we have apples, I would say about 3 or 4 apples, and we're going to be cutting them. I'm going to show you guys how small I have mine cut. I already have them pre-cut here because this actually takes up quite some time and I'm trying not to be too long today. So this is what it looks like. I've already chopped them up and I have them sitting in a little bit of lemon juice so that it doesn't turn color. Okay, so then we'll need sugar, flour, cinnamon, salt, eggs, and a pan. And that's about it. I know it sounds really, really simple, but I promise you that today's dessert is one that is extremely simple. It does take some time to bake. That's why I have one that's already in the oven that you guys will actually get to see it. Hopefully I timed it correctly. And by the time I'm wrapping up here, it should be coming out of the oven or just about ready. So you'll get to see what it looks like coming out. Okay, so let me just go ahead and drain my lemon juice off. Now, depending on how you like your apple pie, I've had people who requested their apple pie or that their apples be diced up or chopped up. Guys, that's just a personal preference. However you like your apples, that's how you're going to be making it because you're not cooking it for me. Obviously, you're making it for your family. So if they like diced apples, if you have smaller kids, you want to make sure that you use like diced apples. That's fine as well. Okay, so, and this is another recipe that I don't normally measure, so guys, bear with me as it's just a look. I know when it looks right, so I'll give you the measurement as I go along. Okay, so I've added 1.5 cups of sugar, and I probably should measure this just for you guys. So I'll say 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Now, of course, guys, as we're coming onto the season that I love oh so dear, which is the pumpkin spice season, feel free to make this exact same dessert. Only thing is change up your spices. Add nutmeg, add pumpkin spice, add allspice. I promise you, if you add like pumpkin spice with a nice pecan, it's the best thing. But we're not quite ready. I put out a couple of feelers to figure out if you guys were ready for pumpkin spice season. A few people said yes, But so that's about a teaspoon of, and I'm just using the lemon juice because I'm not home, but just use whichever lemon juice you want, guys. But yeah, I thought I was ready for the pumpkin spice season, but apparently you guys can't hang with me, so I'll give it another 2 to 3 weeks. So in total, we added 1 3/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, a dash, or let's just say a teaspoon of lemon juice, and that's it. So guys, I'm gonna bring you in a little bit closer so you guys can see what it looks like. And that's what you want it to look like. You want it to, marinate a little bit, and we're gonna sit that aside for a second, and we're gonna get working on our topping or the crumble. Okay? So before we do that, let me grab my butter, which I melted in the microwave already. So not clarified, but just melted. And then now for the crumble. Now you want to make sure that the crumble has a really nice taste to it. So I'm going to show you guys how to season the crumble. I know it sounds weird, you're going to season it. But I'm going to add just about 1.5 cups of flour. Okay? And then I'm going to add a dash of salt. Maybe I should measure it again for you guys. I'm sorry. So it's about a 1/2 teaspoon, or let's say a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're gonna put in, I want it to be nice and sweet on top, so I'm gonna put in a cup of sugar on top, okay? And then we're gonna add 1 egg. Now, if you guys are like me and have to take the white part out of the egg, go ahead and do so. If you're not quite skilled enough to take it out like this, I suggest that you guys, and it refuses to come out because he knows that I don't like him. So all I'm doing, guys, is just I'm using the eggshell to cut it and to make sure that it cuts off completely, because I cannot stand it. I don't know why. I don't know why that I don't like it, except for the fact that growing up, I did not eat it growing up, so there we go. So now that I'm older, I still don't eat it. Okay, and so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn, what you really wanna do here is that you're gonna make a crumble, which means you're gonna vigorously just turn it so that it kind of resembles like a little bit of, I would say dumpling, but not a lot of people know what that is. So it's gonna resemble like if you're beginning to make bread. So I'm gonna show you guys so that you guys can, let's make sure that you guys are seeing the texture, but just make sure that the egg is completely combined throughout. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of sugar because I can tell from the texture I need it to be a little bit sweeter, and I can tell that because I can feel the grains as I turn it. Of course, if you're unsure, guys, if you're writing this recipe down, go ahead and write it down. So that was 1.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cup of sugar, a dash or a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and that's it. So I wanted to take some time out and tell you guys a little bit about the topping that goes on top. If you like your crumble to have more of like a cakey taste, add 2 eggs. And I say this because remember, we're personalizing our own, guys. This is something that you have to learn how to make it for your house and not make it for mine. I like when my crumble is a little bit dry, but flavorful. So what you want to do is you want to add an egg if you want it to be a little bit more cakey. But for now, this is the texture that we are going to make with today. Okay, so now, that was so easy. I feel like today I'm going to break the record and like have the shortest video ever, okay? So, I'm gonna take my pan and I'm gonna, now make sure you put a lot of apples because as it cooks, it's not gonna be as bulky. So it may seem like you have too much apples, guys. I'm gonna say this. If you can see the bottom of your pan, you don't have enough. And remember, your topping, your crumble that goes on top is just a little bit. So you want to make sure that you have enough apples that's gonna melt away and give you that nice apple flavor that you're looking for. Okay, so now that I have that done, and I would say, give or take, it's about 3 apples that I cut up and sliced small. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it. Try to get it as even as possible. If you notice, what I did was I started from the middle. That way I can control how I push it out. Once you have your middle ground established, it's easy to push it out to the ends, and that's really what you want to do without overspilling or making a mess. If you try to go from the edges, the edge will spill over first. That's just a little trick. You guys can't say I haven't taught you anything, because there you go. I just gave you guys a huge secret. So I'm just gonna work my way out and try to get it pushed throughout the side. And don't worry if your apples are still coming up a little bit. By the time that starts to bake, guys, it's gonna bake down evenly, I promise you. Okay, so now for the final step, guys, the final thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the melted butter. That's what's gonna give the crumble the texture that you're looking for, that we have grown to love in apple pies and apple crumbles and that kind of stuff. So this is my melted butter, and again, I'm gonna start from the middle because it's gonna run its way down. All right, and you're gonna make sure you give it, for the butter, I would say about 3/4 of butter. Now, of course, guys, if you're looking to double this recipe, remember that I'm using, the pan that I'm using right now, it's about a 7-inch square. So if, let's say you're using a 9x13 baking pan, you can double you have to double, not that you can, you have to double the recipe. Okay, guys, again, I'm gonna repeat that because it's very important. If you're using a bigger pan, you're gonna double your recipe because you don't want it to be scanty. I don't know if you guys know that word, but you don't want it to look like if, you know, you didn't give it enough. Okay, so here I have, let's make sure I pull that back in. Okay, and it's as simple as that, guys. So if you notice, some of it is saturated and some of it remains dry. By the time this begins to bake in the oven, it's gonna bake up with such a great texture that you're gonna absolutely love it. So let me go ahead and get this in the oven, and I think the other one should just about be ready. I'm gonna check on it. Well, not quite, but you guys get to see it at the halfway mark. So, I told you guys, I am breaking a record today. I feel like this is the quickest video ever. So, remember how I told you guys how it's gonna bake evenly? If we could zoom in on that, you see how it's beginning to, it's gonna crust up on the edges. We're gonna have a really nice texture, and what you're looking for is for this to become golden brown. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this back in the oven because it's gonna need about another 15 minutes or so. I was hoping that I timed it well so that you guys would get to see it and I don't have to make 2 videos tonight. But it does seem like I'll have to do that. Okay, so since we have so much time, I don't know, because someone requested this video, and I told them it's so simple that you'll be making apple crumble every day for the next week, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's all that went into it. So we're gonna make another really, really easy pastry. I feel like we have time to make a really easy pastry. So what I'm gonna do is, let's go ahead and get this in here. And so I don't have my second phone, so there's no way for me to actually see who's online, but I know that my regulars are here, and I know that those of you who are going to be watching the replay, you guys are going to tell me that you watched it on the replay, but I just really wanted to take the time out to thank everybody again. And you know, I update you guys every week to know how many people watched our video last week. So last week, we had 900 and I think give or take about 29, I think it was like about 920 something when I checked it last. So I want to thank everybody. Every week I'm blown away at the amount of people that watch the video and comments and tells me, June, I can't believe you made that look so easy. And I'm grateful for you guys. Okay, so not to get too mushy, but let's dive. So the second thing that we're gonna be making here today, and I'm kind of wondering if we're gonna make this, because this is something that a lot of times people always ask for it. Being from Antigua, we call it fried dumpling. Some people call it bakes. Some people call it like festival. I've heard it called a lot of different ways. But one of the things that I learned last night, actually, that you can actually make this with oil instead of butter. Again, being from Antigua, we have always used butter to make this. But last night I watched it made, and I'm just gonna take my ring off, guys, because whenever I'm doing this kind of stuff, I have to take my ring off. But last night I realized that it can be made with butter. I'm sorry, that it can be made with oil. And I was like, oh my goodness, how is it gonna turn out? But then I had it, and it was freakishly amazing. So, don't laugh, but today I'm going to try to duplicate it with the oil. Yeah, we're gonna kind of see how that goes. So, let's see here. I do need baking powder, so hold on. Baking powder. So, guys, again, this is not my recipe. I apologize. Do we have oil, by the way? We do. Yes, we're experimenting today with the new bake. By the way, guys, Steve is out today. He has some business to take care of, so I have a new cameraman. We're going to say hi to Damone, because he's the one who's actually controlling the camera today, so we thank him for doing so. But he learned how to make this last night, so I think he's going to teach us today how this is made. But there's not much measuring, guys, that goes into this. This is something that's made with, it's made with love. That's what I can tell you. It's made with love. Okay, so I have my flour. I have my salt. Damone, is that enough salt?
What my mom showed, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, I thought you weren't watching. So we're going to use, if I had to measure it, I'm going to say use about a tablespoon of, I'm very shy with the baking powder. Okay, so a tablespoon of baking powder. And of course, according to how sweet you like it, I like it sweet, we're going to add some sugar. And that's that. Okay, so we're going to give that a good tussle there. Make sure that all your sugar crystals is completely combined, and your flour and your baking powder is mixed in. So, is this how I add the oil? Do I make a well, or?
That you add the water in first.
Oh, so I have to add the water before the oil.
Oil is what you use to fry it.
Oh no, I thought you put oil in. No, you see, he's leading us astray, guys. You have to put oil in it has to have some kind of fat in the actual batter.
She put the water and then she fried it with oil.
No, I bet you.
Unless I'm making a mistake. This is why Damone don't bake.
Hold on, guys. I think we have to resort to the expert here. It has to have some. For me, this is where we cut the butter into it, and then we mix it in. So, guys, help me. I think we have to put oil in here.
Well, Mahala says Dominicans call it bakes also, so maybe she knows also.
Mahala, do we put the oil in with the flour or, oh my goodness, he's leading me astray. And the water has to be cold or hot water?
Hot water.
Hot water, so, okay. He's leading me astray, guys. I'm telling you, you have to put some kind of oil into it. I don't know, Timon.
Yep, she said nope.
No oil?
Told you.
I don't know.
He is right. You see? Don't even have to bake. I know what I'm doing.
Wait. I'm afraid of this. So hold on. So there's no fat that goes into this.
The only fat is when you...
Can you please text your mom to verify? Guys, this is about to be a disaster. Because part of me just wants to take some butter right now and cut some butter into this because I'm thinking what's going to give it that oomph texture that's happening here. But hold up. Oh, this is it's so antsy when you're making making things a new way. Somebody once told me the hardest thing to do in life is to watch someone else do something that you do very well, very poorly.
Mahala said you could use butter if you wanted to.
Right, I know how to make it with the butter, but we're gonna see. She's the expert. Last night, guys, we had tuna and bakes, and it was amazing. So I don't know.
Put it in.
What are we putting in, the oil?
Yeah. And Marie said put the oil in the flour. Vanessa said put the oil in the flour.
I think so, guys. I think we have to put a little bit of oil into it.
Hey, every culture does it different, you know. So.
No, but what? I can't see how it made a ball. Okay, guys. Well, we're about to find out. I put the butter in. I put the oil into it. I cut it like how I would do if I was making it with the butter. And now I'm gonna add the water a little bit at a time until it forms. Really, what you want it to do is you want it to form a nice tight ball without having to put too much pressure in the kneading. Guys, I don't know about this one. And Damone, your mom is from
Trinidad.
She's from Trinidad. Okay, so she makes it. Guys, what we're making here is the Trinidadian version to what we call fried dumpling. They call it bakes. I was hoping that she would have been here to show me this method, but okay. So guys, very important about kneading. What you want to do is you want to work from the dry area, which is usually under. Let's see if we can do this. So all I'm doing is I'm going under and I'm squeezing. And what you're looking for is for the ball to form and actually take all of the excess flour from around the bowl and on your hand until it's clean. We'll see how this one turns out. Anne-Marie, I know, listen, my aunt makes the best fried dumpling, okay? And I had to try my hardest to remember how she made it. It's funny because all my aunts know how to make this. And for years, I have to admit, I had no idea how they were getting it so perfect every time. Sometimes I would make it, it would come out good. Sometimes it wouldn't be good. Sometimes it would be too sweet. Sometimes it would be too salty. And I just couldn't get it right. And then I eventually, took me some time, but I eventually learned how to do it. I found a method, so to speak. Okay, so guys, now if you look here, my bowl is completely clean. My hands are somewhat completely clean, and that's really what you want to look for. That's how you know if you have kneaded it the right way. And my counter is not completely covered with flour. So, we're going to knead it for about 2 to 3 minutes until your ball becomes really, really tight and smooth. Okay, so now I have this here, and we are going to let it rest for about just a couple of minutes until we break it into pieces. In the meantime, you're going to clean your work area and wash your hands. So guys, if you can smell, right now, I don't know who was baking, because I wasn't at home, I wasn't able to send out my post like I normally do, so I know the recipe wasn't posted. But if you guys are, we have a visitor, guys, and the visitor has to wait. Now let's just see. Okay, so guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab the door and let him in so he's not outside. And like, what is she doing? Okay, so guys, let's see. So what was I saying? Oh, before I said that he's gonna probably kill me if I leave him outside for the entire show. We're not gonna do that. We let him in. So now let's check on our apple crumble. Oh, it looks good. Okay, so this is our updated version, guys. Now, can you see how our edges have begun to caramelize, and we now have some texture? So it's beginning to dry out. It looks really, really good, and it smells even better. We're gonna put that back. And so every week I tell you guys, you have to know your oven. So this is not my oven, so I'm not quite sure how long it's gonna take, but it's almost ready. So another thing, guys, that's different, normally we take our little ball and we fold it into each other. Last night, his mom literally did this. And she squeezed it with one hand and she threw it back in. And I was like,
it's called experience.
yes. So she didn't even like, usually I try to look to see if, make sure that all my balls are the right, all my balls are the right size. But she didn't do that, so we're Trinidadian for the day. We're doing it like a pro.
Not professionals.
Okay, so that's all she did. She squeezed it. And then now I'm going to get the oil ready, because that process is going to take a little time to get the oil hot. Okay. Do I even know which? Oh. Okay, so guys, my pan already is well greased because, as I said, we did make this last night. So I still have a little bit of oil left back from last night. So I would say, I'm going to bring this closer so you guys have an idea as to how much oil. I'm not using a whole lot of oil. I just have enough to have the bottom of the pan so that when I put them in, they'll be covered. Okay? So remember, we have here flour, sugar, baking powder, oil, and hot water. So your baking powder needs not a lot of time, because the baking powder that we're using, guys, which is the same thing that you'll have, is the fast-acting or double-acting baking powder. So it wouldn't take that long before it is ready to go, guys. So there I go trying to turn it again. I'm sorry. So we're going to test it out and see. It looks right, guys. Whether or not it is right, we don't know until it's made. So once you have your ball, so initially we had it like in a ball, and once you have your ball, what you do is you take your hand and you push it out to the edges, forming somewhat of a little, I don't know what shape this is, guys.
A little hockey puck.
Like a little hockey puck, right? I would say to the center of your hand, unless you have really big hands. Either which way, big bakes, little bakes, as long as it's tasty bakes. So that's the size that you want to look for. And what is going to happen when I put this in the oil is that it's going to puff up on all sides, and it's supposed to give us a really nice fluffy texture in the middle. Now, is that going to happen? We don't know yet. We're hoping that that's what happens. So yeah, I'm gonna ask my cameraman to come over to the little frying area here. And all I do to test it to make sure is I just put a little piece in, and automatically I can see that my oil isn't hot enough because it hasn't started to fry the dumpling as yet. So we're gonna leave that little piece inside, and it's gonna tell us when it's ready because it's gonna automatically start to puff up. The reason why I keep my bowl covered, guys, is so that it doesn't dry out. And that's all. All right, and then we're gonna need a fork because you're gonna need to turn your dumpling once it is ready. So let's not call it dumpling today, it's called bakes. Every time I say dumpling, you guys have to remind me it's bakes. Okay, so, all right, so now my bakes is floating in the oil, so it's letting me know that it's getting there. I am new to this oven, so I'm a little bit afraid of how quickly it will turn brown. All right, but it puffed up quite nice. I think we got the recipe right, guys. It puffed, my little piece has now puffed up. So I don't know, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So let's see what we got. All right. Yes, so by the time we're finished this, our crumble will be ready to come out of the oven. And the great thing about crumble is that it's actually better hot than it is cold. So a lot of times people say it's fresh out the oven. That's what you really want because it's nice and it's steamy, and you get to put the ice cream on top, and then it melts the ice cream, and you drizzle it with the caramel, and we're in heaven. But guys, you know, I'm gonna need a tester for today because today is not a cheat day. We had a cheat day yesterday, and I had not one, not two, but about 6 little bakes. And, oh, what a cheat day it was. I really, really enjoyed it. So that's it for me for the week, guys. Until next week, okay? All right, so if you can see now, our bake is frying in the oil. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little hockey pucks and place it in. So if you notice how much the oil goes to about almost to the top of it, and then once it's fried and puffed up enough, we're gonna flip it over. Now the great thing about bakes is that it can be made in a lot of different shapes. If you're from Antigua, you may be familiar with this shape, but if you're from, I want to say St. Lucia, they make it like this. They make it little and round, and then they push it in like a little button. Same concept, just a different shape. And if you ask me which shape I prefer, I like them little like this, but it's fried down, it's bakes. I'll take it any way I could get it. Okay, so I still think my oil needs to be a little bit hotter because normally they fry a lot faster than that. So I'm gonna cautiously turn my oven up, my stovetop up a little bit. And I know that you guys are thinking, is this considered, or maybe I'm just the only one that's thinking it, is this considered baking or cooking? So is this for a chef or a baker? Because it's made halfway with dough, but then it's fried on the stovetop like a chef. I don't know, but I would say this is a crossover. We're gonna call this one a crossover because it definitely used both skills in this case. So guys, zoom in for me so that they can see how nice and brown this is. That's what you're looking for, because you really want it to be a really nice crunch on the outside, but then inside is gonna fluff up like a nice bread or a sweet bread, something to that effect. All right, guys. Now I see that my my oil is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and put all the others in. And mind you, the professional didn't need to do all this work. I really didn't even see her do all this rolling that I'm doing, but
it's Trini magic putting there.
Some people would say that Antiguans make the best fried dumpling, but I've heard that festivals are better, and I hear all kinds of different things, but if you ask me, I like the Antiguan ones better than the festivals and better than all these bakes and all these other things that they may have. But we'll be able to tell from the taste. All right, guys, so this is, and you should always drain your fried dumpling because really, you don't want to have all that excess oil. And this is one of the things, guys, don't try to overload your frying pan because 1 minute you would look at it and it's not ready. 10 seconds after, it will be burning. I warn you while you make this, okay, guys? Pay attention. Hi. She's hiding from the camera, guys, but the queen of the castle has arrived home, and hopefully she'll come on camera and taste one and tell me if it's better than, well, it definitely won't be better. It won't be better than what we had last night.
We'll have the person that take off today doing camera work. We'll have that person tasting it.
We don't know about that, okay? I have to abide by the rules, and the rule says that the woman of the house is the one who does the tasting. Okay, so guys, now we are in business. We have a nice color going on here. Now you also want to make sure, don't just, if you find that it's browning too fast, guys, always break your first one to make sure that it's being cooked on the inside and you don't just need to adjust your fire, okay? Because the last thing you want is that you want to bite into it and the middle of it is raw and you've just wasted time frying all of your entire batter, okay? So let's see.
Tamika's funny.
She's hilarious, and you know, I would tell her to come and get some, but if she wants to be a joker, because this is the first time we're making it this way, then fine, she doesn't get any. Okay. Guys, it's looking good. I don't know if it's tasting good. At least I'm honest, guys. I promise you this is my first time ever making it this way. I don't know if it's, I think it's definitely more cost efficient, but I'll see if it pays off with the taste. So we learned something new last night, and here I am teaching it to you today. So don't be at home like, oh, she didn't even put butter in it. It doesn't even look right. Guys, this is a no judgment zone. Don't laugh because it's my first time. And definitely don't say that my dumplings are not the same size, because I'm thinking it. So, we are almost finished, and I can tell from the smell of it that so is my apple crumble. Alrighty. So it looks like, guys, that we have we're gonna have bakes for dinner tonight because they're kind of looking good. I definitely can't have the apple crumble, but I don't know. Can someone tell me how much calories do you think is in 2 bakes? Keep in mind I had 6 last night. Can I afford to have an additional 2? Maybe. If I have it with, no. I was about to say, does the oil make it less calories? Let's just say that the oil does make it less calories, so I can have 1 or 2. But you see how small they are. How can we have one of these? How? How is this possible?
Jamal said 310.
300? No way, Jamal. That is a lie from the pits of hell. How dare you? How dare you say that? 310 calories in 1? I can't believe it. I can't even afford to have half. Guys, what is going on here? Okay, so I won't be enjoying any bakes tonight or for the rest of the year until December 6th. That's it. Bakes are off my list, guys. I will not be having any if it is 310 calories. Jeez. That's half of a Cinnabon. Mm-hmm. Why did I even say the word Cinnabon? Cinnabon is my favorite thing. I've avoided making cinnamon rolls, although people have been requesting them. I have avoided making cinnamon rolls because I can't make it and not eat it. That's my honest to God cheat reason why I have not yet made cinnamon rolls. But we'll see what the future holds. Okay, so guys, we're gonna have to, after these, I'm gonna take a little break because I can tell you right now from the smell of my apple that it is ready to come out. And we're not about to burn our fried dumpling or our bakes. So we're gonna take a little break from the bakes frying, and maybe the expert behind the camera could take over. You heard that laugh? Is that the sound of hater laugh back there?
That hater right there. You see him? Such a hater.
I think that sounded a little bit like a hater laugh. I'm sorry, I have to admit. Guys, I know it's time consuming, but trust me, it's worth it. You don't want to take your bakes out before they're finished because you really won't be able to eat them. Okay, so there we go, guys. We're almost finished, but in the meantime, as I said, I could take my crumble out because I know that it is ready. Yes, it is ready. Okay, so guys, this is what you want to look for. Let's multitask a little bit here. So, do you see how it's nice and crusty on top? Nice and crusty. This is the only time that crusty is good, guys, when you're referring to something like a crumble or a pie. So it's nice and crusty. It's almost like you can tap it and hear how hard it is. Hear that? So right now we are going to take our fried dumplings, our fried bakes, our bakes off. And we're going to go straight into cutting this, guys, because I need you guys to see how much this is cooked down. So you could go back over. All right, so now we are going to cut into this baby and see what it looks like. Well, technically we're going to scoop into this baby because we're not cutting it. Ooh-wee. And all of that is being stuck to the, guys, the caramel on this is amazing. All right, so it looks a little bit small, so I'm just putting a little extra on the plate. All right, now we're gonna leave this here to cool, and I want a fork just to show you guys the different layers. So remember we had our apples. I told you guys don't worry about your apples, how they were gonna cook down. You see how soft they cooked? Then we have a little bit of juice from the sugar and the cinnamon. And now this is our crumble that we made on top. And it's almost like right now, it's almost like a cake with a little crust on top. So we're gonna leave that right here. If we were plating it, guys, I bought ice cream. You guys are so special that I decided I wanted to give you guys the full effect. Steve, I bought an ice cream scooper today. I've always said that I wasn't going to buy an ice cream scoop, but I promise you it was not more than $5. This is not one of the $16 ice cream scoops, guys. If you want your ice cream to scoop evenly, always run it under hot water. That is a trick of the ice cream shops.
All I know, I saw a tag being scraped off the...
You saw a tag? Well, I think he knows by now I was not going to buy a 16. Why is it that ice cream scoops are so expensive? I saw one the other day and it was beautiful. It was my favorite shade of pink. But then it was like $16.95. You guys know I'm not buying that. No way. All right, so we have here just good old vanilla ice cream. All right, and now we're just gonna, and of course, you know, guys, depending on how much ice cream you like, I've told you guys many times, I'm not huge on ice cream and whipped cream and stuff like that. So I would be the person that has the smallest scoop ever. But now, all right, and this is just a little bit of caramel, guys. And all we're gonna do is we're just gonna, and there we have it. We are finished. And I think we made extremely good time, guys. So today, a recap, we made apple crumble, then we made Trinidadian style bakes, and we did it all within an hour. So I don't want to hear the excuse why you didn't have dessert today or you didn't make something with the kids. It's because you didn't have time. We just made this in less than an hour. So you absolutely have the time to take some time out with the family, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends. Spend some time together and learn how to make something really simple. So thank you guys for coming. I'll post the video with the bakes later to see if the verdict is in, if it's good or not. But I'll tell you guys how it worked out. Thank you for coming. See you guys next week. It was a pleasure having you guys. Bye. See you next week.